members. If I can find the title here, is rotations in R3 using Quaternions, and by James Cutter from Marist College.
All right. I think it's interesting to point out this little quote here, which is forwarded to me by actually a series of professors. I think it's rather interesting because here he's kind of saying that, okay, these are interesting, but we're not going to need it. You're kind of like, oh, well, that's what you need. And you put them away in the desk drawer, and you forget about it. And in perusing my daily activities a couple months ago, I noticed that Quaternions are pretty heavily used in computer graphics representations, and a professor at another university, I forget where, was published a book describing how they could be used for aerospace sequences and stuff like that. So apparently they're not dead. I thought this would be interesting to find out that people think they were. So, with that, sorry. My name is James Cutter. I'm graduating this May from Marist College. And I'm going to talk about rotations in R3 using Quaternions. And the first question that you might have is, well, why do we care about rotation? And it turns out, as I pointed out, that the aerospace industry uses them quite heavily, and the computer graphics industry uses them quite heavily as well, for the reasons that I mentioned there. The traditional methods of doing this have relied on something known as Euler angles, which were discovered by someone named Leonard Euler around the 18th century. And he used an axis angle representation to track planetary movements. He apparently looked at the stars and wanted to know how they move. We represent these things in a matrix form. If you look at the little diagram in the corner, you see basically that represents the basic idea of the rotation on an axis minus the tree axis. And that corresponds to these three individual matrices, where alpha is the angle around x, beta the angle z. And if you multiply these guys together, you get a composite matrix. So if you want to have a rotation around all three of these, say, or some combination thereof, you only have to have one matrix you really have to worry about. If you multiply that by your vector around 3, and you get a rotated vector. Well, it turns out there's some big problems with this method. The first of which is something known as a singularity, which basically is a certain axis angle combination that just doesn't work. The most common and most really notable of this is something called gimbal lines. You may have heard them refer to this in a movie called Apollo 13. They were up in the space capsule and they had a problem. And so all the eggheads are ground control and look at the slide rules and figure out a way around this. Another problem with Euler angles is that it's very expensive to interpolate between two rotations. And you really have to figure out your rotation around x, y, and z for each step of the interpolation, which can be very expensive. And again, along those lines, rotation around an arbitrary axis is difficult to compute. If you want to rotate around, let's say, a normal to a plane, you have to figure out what that is in terms of its components in relation to the x, y, and z in the original basis. So this is kind of my attempt at explaining the gimbal line problem. If you take a rotation here, just about your normal axis, about x at some angle, we don't have a but here I'll just use 45 degrees. And then you rotate around y, you line up your z-axis with your original x-axis, at which point it has the same effect. If you want to rotate around x, then you get a problem because it looks the same as a rotation around z. That's basically all there is to it. And that it complicates matters a little bit in your representation of it. So what we use instead is something called Quaternions, which were discovered by a man called Sir William Hamilton in the 19th century. And he was very interested in the fact that you could multiply two complex numbers and it would basically equate to a rotation in the plane. And he was very fascinated by this and wanted to figure out a way to do it in R3. It's a Vulcan case, since complex numbers are a field structure in R2. Why can't we find a field structure in R3 similar to complex numbers? And he worked for a very long time with this. And the story goes he was in Ireland, I believe Dublin, walking across a bridge with his family. And the idea came to him. that's when it was born, more or less. And this is basically a simple proof of why it can't be done in R3. Real quick, just a couple of steps. If you have a basis for this field structure in R3, say it's one, and you can refer to it as the identity, the multiplicative identity in this field structure. And then I and J, which are also, you might say, vectors in this structure. And these vectors have the following property. It turns out that if you take the product of I and J, it's simply a linear combination of the basis. And if you multiply this by I, with the property of here, you get negative J is AI minus B times the identity plus Cij, where A, B, and C are all real numbers. So if you solve for Cij, you get this little equation down here. Okay, we're good so far. But let's say you multiply this first equation again by C, you end up with this equation down here. And if you compare the components of these two equations, you find that you have C squared must equal -1. Well, C squared is a real number, that's a good problem. So that's why it can't work in R3. A little background on quaternions. We represent the quaternion Q as the product of a scalar and a vector, Q whole being the vector, which basically equates to this, where I, J, and K are, we might say, basis for this pseudo field structure that he came up with, where they have the property that you would expect. And here it just kind of points out that it really isn't commutative. And there's the following properties we have in there. You might be saying, okay, well, you have this thing in R4, and we want to rotate things in R3. Well, how do you get there from R3? Well, it turns out we use something called the pure quaternion, where we have a vector B that exists in R3. Its quaternion form can be represented by the scalar part of quaternion, Q naught, being 0, and then the rest of it is just a normal vector. So with that in mind, we can have these operations now, which we're going to need for rotation, where the multiplication of two quaternions, Q and P, the product of P and Q is simply, if you think about these guys as polynomials, and you do the multiplication out as you would expect, you get a big mess which you can represent in this form, where the dot product and the cross product are simple vector cross products and dot products that you would expect them to be. And we also need something called the conjugate, which is simply negate the vector part. Like I said, with those two things in mind, now we need to find the rotation operator. So let's say we have some quaternion defined as Q, where its scalar part is cosine of theta over 2, and its vector part is some vector u times sine theta over 2. And it turns out that the vector u is the axis of rotation. So right there we have built in an arbitrary axis of rotation. We have theta, which is the axis, the angle we want to rotate about, built into the quaternion. And we take this L sub q of b function, which takes a vector in R3, which we're going to refer to as a pure quaternion, so that we can multiply it by the quaternions. And we have to be careful of ordering this because multiplication is commutative. So if we take QB and Q star, Q basically equates to rotation about the axis and the angle defined in Q. So we're set. And over here in my little diagram, let's say we have a vector B1, and we want to bring it down to B2. Well, if you take the cross product of these two vectors, you get a normal to the plane of rotation that you lie on, which is U. All right, we're set. We've got our rotation axis. And now we can also figure out the angle between them by taking the dot product to solve the angle. And then we're set. We can define our quaternion and then just use the rotation operator to get there. We could also use this same rotation operator very easily to perform interpolation. Let's say we want to have 3 steps between B1 and B2. Okay. Well, then we just take our angle and multiply the denominator by 3 to essentially get there. And that's all we have to do then. And we can call this rotation operator recursively to get the first step, second step, third step. And what you see is the vector be, 1/3, 2/3, and then 3/3 all the way to B2. So this is fairly simple, fairly open, fairly nice. To close, you might be saying, okay, well, you have to return, why would I want to since I interpolation algorithm is very simple, as you saw. All you have to do is to be careful when defining the quaternion Q. So, and it turns out that these things are pretty easy to use for just about everything that involves rotation. You don't have these massive matrices to multiply every step of the way. And they're fairly simple to visualize. But then again, Euler angles, you might say, all right, well, since quaternions are great, why would I want to use Euler angles? Well, they're very easy to visualize. You've seen them your whole life, you know what they are. And on occasion, it's easier to specify an orientation using Euler angles. Like if you don't know what the arbitrary axis is, or if you just kind of want to tweak a rotation and say, okay, well, if I rotate pitch down a little bit, rotation next to it, it's easier to do it that way. And that's all there is. I guess both of those two things. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Anybody? Yes.
Do you know how you represent the quaternions in the computer computationally?
Yes.
Are they represented as matrices, or which seems like it would interfere with your idea that matrix multiplication is expensive, or is this? How do you represent them actually computationally?
Well, you can represent them as a basically a 1 by 4. Like a vector, you have A, B, and C, you just add on a D. And then the way I do it is I use them as an array of 4, let's say, floating point values, real values. So the first one corresponds to Q naught, the second one corresponds to Q1, Q2, and Q3. And then it's fairly simple to just implement that as a
So you directly program the rules for the interaction of I, J, and K?
well, that actually you don't really have to worry about it. You just write a multiplication routine or function, and then you can just handwrite in the multiplication.
You never use a matrix?
No. There are conversions to and from quaternions, from matrix into matrix form. But I didn't have time to go on here. Actually, thank you very much. Not to mention it. Any other questions? Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Well, you had a function L sub Q of B. Is that function embedded into the program that you're going to run if you're going to use it in computer science?
What you could do is, well, what I ended up doing was writing a function similar to that, I think clock rotate or something like that, where outside of the function you have to define your rotation quaternion Q. And then basically you just pass that in to the function along with the vector you want to rotate. And then inside the function it would then take the conjugate, which is very easy to get, and then do the multiplication from left to right, and then return back the rotated vector. Did that answer your question? Anything else?